Baby boomers don't want to let go of their business babies. That's why there's no success in succession planning these days. According to PwC, 7 out of 10 business owners don't even have a written succession plan. Why is that? Because they have too many choices and too many unknowns. It's scary. Do they keep it, sell it, walk away? How do they start? What do they do? Who do they call? Do they need a successor? How do they keep control? How do they protect their wealth? There's $1 trillion of business value tied up in baby boomers' hands and heads right now as they wait to figure out what to do with their business. In fact, there are 2 critical strategies that you can use to make sure that you protect and increase the value of your business in this economy. I'm going to review them with you today so that you can feel confident with starting succession planning and actually increase the valuation of your business and increase succession success in the process so you can live the life you deserve and leave a legacy. Let's get started so you can leave a legacy and not a mess. Hi, I'm Phil Simchich. Welcome back to the channel where I help B2B owners to increase profits and build their business wealth. Now let's dive right into the 2 critical strategies and steps that I use with B2B companies that achieves a couple of things. It increases their valuation and it creates millionaires through the succession planning process. Now, all of this started one day when my phone rang. It was one of my growing clients, successful client, and he had a big problem. His customers were putting the pressure on him to develop a succession plan. Now, these were big corporate Fortune 100 type companies, so they were familiar with succession planning from a risk management perspective. And they wanted this mid-market company, it had about 60 employees, but was critical to their operational success to have a succession plan. What if the owner got hit by a truck? That's what was talked about in the Fortune 100 head offices to ensure operational security. Now, before we dive into how to start a succession plan, let's talk about where to start a succession plan. You have 4 choices in my experience. The first one is the kitchen table. Notice the probably alcoholic beverages with the healthier fruit on the table. The second is the boardroom table. The third is the hospital emergency room. And the fourth is the funeral home. As you can see, the last 2 are not good. So it's really about starting your succession plan either at the kitchen table or the boardroom table so that you've got control over what's going on. Now, I was engaged essentially as a succession quarterback to drive the process with the company and the owners, to bring in new owners, and to work with the team of professional advisors, so the accountant, the lawyer, the tax specialist, and sometimes the insurance and financial planners, because everything needs to be insured and approved by the bankers. And yes, the bankers. The bankers were also very keen on succession planning for the same reasons. They wanted this business, which had grown beyond the capacity of the owner, to survive by having multiple owners going forward in the future. Now, the key to this process is to give the business owner control. And they get control over the succession planning process, but it's very complicated because we're talking about ownership and management. And so what I recommend is that the business owners do what I call the succession 2 steps. And what the succession 2-step does is it separates succession for ownership from succession for management. And the easiest place to start is succession for management. And what that looks like is you draw an organizational chart for where your company is today, naming the key positions on the organizational chart, and then putting the names underneath. Then you do another organizational chart for where your company will be in 5 or 10 years, so likely twice as large, hopefully. And with those same positions, and maybe you need some new positions, who from the first organizational chart that's on your management team now will make the cut through promotion, through experience, through learning and development, and everybody should be getting learning and development, so that they can handle their future roles when the company is twice as large. And now, some people might retire, and some might not actually make the cut. They might not be willing to take the training, or they just might not have the capacity for the future responsibilities that they'll be put into. So succession planning for management is essentially doing the organizational chart exercise, But it's also important, and especially in a majority shareholder controlled company, and that person is often the CEO, to do CEO succession planning as well. So that's an important role for the management team to figure out who are one or two people that could take over and run the company if something happened to the CEO. And that information is important to communicate to your key customers and your banker. And one way is to create an executive team with a couple of select individuals performing those roles. Now, the other part of succession planning is for ownership. And ownership involves expanding the number of shareholders, increasing the number of directors, and formalizing governance. And what governance really looks like is, okay, do we have a CEO succession plan? Because it's the board's responsibility to act in the best interest of the company, which means that the board needs to make sure the company can run if something happens to any of the key people. And the board's responsibility is also for risk management. And these days, risk management includes cyber security and cyber attacks. It includes responsibility for approving major strategic direction and decisions and major financial decisions. And that information needs to be formally communicated to your bankers as well. So succession planning really will help to instill a lot of confidence with your customers and your bankers. There are huge marketing benefits from doing succession planning right. I've seen companies triple and quadruple revenues and accelerate growth after they've done succession planning and communicated it to their best customers and their bankers. That reduces risks for the customers, reduces risk for the bankers, and they're therefore willing to lend more money into the company. Succession planning will be very good for your business wealth and overall management and operations, and you'll sleep better at night. And yes, this is Lola, our 14-year-old Chief Morale Officer's YouTube debut. If you found the Succession 2-Step useful and interesting, please subscribe and feel free to share with another business owner. Thanks for watching.